Hello and welcome to my Wealth Bites, the first and only podcast for tech professionals in Australia. These are my thoughts and views on how to make money and retire early, and by no means financial advice. I really encourage you to seek one because it makes a lot of difference. And since you are with me here, welcome to my world. I will be discussing ideas and ideals that may not seem popular and sometimes provocative. However, it is eye-opening and will expand your horizons to make money differently. And that's not really my words. That is the feedback I get from people who listen to the podcast and clients who work with me. Now, let me ask you something that might sting a little bit. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I want to retire early? But when you look at your actual numbers, your strategy, your assets, and behaviors, realize you're not even in the neighborhood of early retirement. Does that sound familiar? Most tech professionals tell me they want early retirement. Yet, very few are on the path that can deliver this. And here is the plot twist. Almost nobody see it coming until they sit down with me. And let me tell you, it is rarely because of the income. It is almost never because you're not earning enough. It is because of the decisions you're making with that income. And how are you treating it? You have decisions that feel logical, responsible, and even smart, but they're quietly pushing early retirement further and further away. So before we dive into the big mistakes I see, and there are 5, the ones I see every week after 20 years working with tech professionals and more than 380 clients who trust me with their numbers. I want you to hold something into your mind. The mistakes we're about to talk about today mostly sit outside the foundation inside my confident choice system. The system and the framework I built for tech professionals who want a work optional life. Without luck, without hopes, without stress, and definitely without guesswork. This system was designed to solve 3 big problems, and you know it all too well. Number 1, your sky-high tax bills. That nagging feeling that the more you earn, the more the ATO quietly moves into your spare bedroom and charges rent. Number 2, there's no coherent wealth plan. You feel like you should be further ahead or doing more, or at least getting more reward for the amount of tax you're handing over. Last week, I had a client saying I'm earning $450 a year and I feel that I am poor. And number 3, the big one, not knowing who to trust. The financial industry is filled with noise, generic advice, and people who do not understand you, do not understand tech professionals and the world. Your world are nuanced. Your RSUs, your income structure, your bonuses, your deadlines, also the volatility of your company share. None of that fits into the vanilla financial advice box. I've seen it many times, very good advice, but not for tech professionals. And I had last month more than 4 people changing advisors to come work with me because of the specialty I have. But as we go, notice something. Each mistake is a symptom of not having a real system, a proper structure, the right questions to ask, and the right strategy to implement. Now, without further delays, let's jump into the first mistake. And the first mistake I see, chasing investment properties as the strategy instead of a tool. And that is very common. Every couple of days, I would speak to someone who says the same sentence. Property will give me passive income. So it is the fastest road to early retirement. I love it. And every week I think like, it is property, yes, but it's not a retirement strategy. Property is a tool in your toolbox, a tool that can help you or slow you down. So the myth is property replaces your income. You buy a place, someone pays rent, you retire. But the reality is really different. The reality you will see is when you run the modeling. Property comes with high debt and low net yields. And let me be honest, there's nothing passive about managing a property. Even with an agent, the mental load is real. And the bigger issue, if you are 40 today and you want to retire at age 50, how is a property with a net yield of 3 or 3.5% supposed to replace a 6-figure tech salary? Even if it's paid off, it can't. Not in time, not at scale, not with the tax drag, the debt load, the interest rate risk, the maintenance cycles, and the lack of liquidity. Property doesn't give you 3 things early retirement actually requires. Number 1, flexibility. Number 2, enhanced tax efficiency. Number 3, compounding. Property give you none of those by default. And if you get the strategy wrong, the wrong structure, wrong yield, and wrong debt profile, you will lock yourself into a financial lane that has nothing to do with your true goal. So your question becomes, are you buying property because it aligns with your goal of financial independence or freedom? Or because everyone around you is doing it and it's very popular? Let that sit for a moment with you. There's a lot of nuances around property, and you have to be very careful. How are you positioning property into your overall financial picture? And I'm not saying today that the property is a bad investment, not at all. What I'm saying is property has to come with proper planning around the financial projections, around the level of debt, around taxation. Because if you think about negative gearing, you're just putting a band aid on your tax burden. You are claiming some depreciation, some negative gearing for 4, 5, 6 years, and then it becomes positively geared. And the income actually hits back at you at 47%. And the big tax bill happens when you sell the property. The capital gains is really high because assuming you bought a high quality asset and you were holding the property with negative gearing, which means actually losing money on the property because you're thinking you are appreciating in capital. So assuming you're appreciating in capital, capital gains will come back hitting you hard. I sometimes hear the idea of I will hold them until retirement and then I will sell them then. Yep, well done. Could be working, but how far is that? And is that an early retirement plan? It is actually a timing plan, not a retirement or an early retirement plan. The second mistake I see with tech professionals is leaving RSUs and cash sitting in their offset account idly because tax fear freezes them. And this one hurts a lot because I see it in maybe 8 out of 10 tech professionals I meet. The story goes like this. I will sell my RSUs later after the price recovers because it hasn't been doing so well, or after I figure out a way how to reduce my tax, and sometimes after I see what the market does. And while you wait, your RSUs sit idle. It's not working, it's not compounding, it's not diversifying, and it's a high risk, and it's not improving your financial independence. It's just sitting there for you. So the truth that you won't hear often is fear of capital gains tax is costing you more than the tax itself. That fear is expensive, really, really expensive. And the issue isn't your RSUs. It's the lack of planning before they vest. Most people only start thinking about the shares after actually the shares became theirs, after vesting. By then, it's too late. You are reacting instead of acting. When you plan ahead, when you understand your tax brackets, the contribution strategy, the diversification windows, what you can sell in the controlled tranches, this will help you reduce your tax and remove your single stock risk. It could put that money into something that actually supports early retirement. You've got one company, one CEO, one earnings call, one market cycle, and your entire future is tied to that one story. There's actually a very interesting story with Microsoft. Microsoft is the underdog for the last 5 or 6 years, and everyone is talking, oh, look at Microsoft, it's killing it. But do you know the story from 2000 to 2018 for Microsoft? Microsoft dropped by 50% and remained there for 18 years. You don't want that to happen to you before you retire or before your early retirement. So you need to act and plan proactively. Your strategy should dictate what you do with every vest. This is exactly why tax planning and RSU strategies sit at the core of the confident choice system. Because without that structure, you're basically leaving your future up to luck. Now, with the third mistake, treating your job as the main wealth engine. And this one is subtle. It feels harmless. It even feels smart. My income is high. I would save a lot. I'll be just fine. Is not wealth. Income is fuel. And in tech, the fuel tank is fragile. One structure, one budget cut, one new VP with a new vision, one Thursday afternoon quick chat with your manager, and your financial position entirely shifts. Sometimes your entire financial plan shifts if your employer controls your income, your RSUs, your bonuses, your promotion cycles. Then your employer also controls your timeline. But early retirement doesn't come from income. It comes from assets that grow without you. Investments that compound smartly while having strategies that can reduce your tax in an intentional way, not random way. Structures that create financial independence, even if your job disappears tomorrow. When people say, my salary will get me there, I ask them one question. if your job disappeared today, would your wealth plan still work? And the silence that follows is the answer that is answering every question I have. So that's a wake up call for you. Income is not everything. Saving is not everything. Acting proactively is the way to go. And number 4 for today, paying down the home loan as if the smartest move you can make. Everybody loves this one. It's easy, feels good, feels responsible, and also feels clean. Being debt free is freedom, but feelings don't really fund early retirement. When you run the modeling the way I've run it many, many times, I've done it over and over with hundreds of scenarios. Paying down your home loan is rarely the fastest path to financial independence and early retirement. Why? Because the return you get from reducing interest in time is tiny compared to the compounding you sacrifice elsewhere. Sure, it feels safe, it feels like progress, but financial independence isn't a feelings game. It's a strategy game. And the kicker is, debt is your best friend when you use it right. Yes, you heard me right. Debt is your best friend, assuming you use it right. People have been taught their whole life that debt is bad. But you know what is actually bad? It is using your money in a way that kills compounding and slows down wealth creation for you and your family. So ask yourself this question. Are you trying to feel safe or trying to retire early? You cannot optimize for both because each direction has its own strategy. Now, number 5, and it's actually the most common mistake that I see, especially when tech professionals are, between 35 to 45 and retirement is, a little bit long way ahead, they ignore the superannuation. So the 5th mistake is actually ignoring superannuation, and it's the most tax favorable system you will have in Australia. No doubt about that. This one is almost universal. Most high income tech professionals ignore super because it feels distant. It feels like later. It feels like something you will get eventually too. But the truth is, superannuation is the most powerful wealth structure in Australia. Nothing else comes close. Concessional tax rate, incredible compounding, protected structure, and with the right contribution strategy, you create a second wealth engine that grows in the background quietly, efficiently, and aggressively to support your early retirement even before your retirement age. So, when tech professionals avoid super, they leave extraordinary value on the table. Not because they don't care, but because nobody ever explained the math clearly. Super is one of the few legal systems designed to help you reduce tax and build wealth, and also create financial independence faster. The distance you feel from it, that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Early retirement is not about one bucket. It's about multiple engines running at the same time, and super is one of the engines that never sleeps for you. Now, if any of these mistakes feel familiar, that is good. Awareness is step 1. Action is step 2. Most tech professionals who are doing all the right things are actually doing the things that slows them down. Early retirement isn't achieved through working harder. It is achieved through smarter structures, assets that grows without you, systems that reduce your tax, and strategies that lower your risk for you and your family. A plan that compounds your time, not just your money. The fastest path to early retirement is rarely the popular one. It is the intentional one. And it starts by avoiding the 5 traps we just walked through. I have a story that I can share with you today. So it's someone I worked with recently. He's a senior engineer at one of the big tech companies. He's a very smart guy, really, and very nice. He's high income, massive potential, but he was stressed along with his wife as well. They were almost under burnout and convinced he'd never reach early retirement. He told me, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not further ahead? Why I'm feeling that I'm earning less than I'm actually earning? And when we looked at his numbers and we provided him with a plan, he was doing all 5 mistakes. He was chasing property like it was his pension system. He was actually letting RSUs sit idle out of fear with $500,000 sitting there for him. And he was treating his high income as the plan. He thought that he's always employable, and that's completely wrong. He was paying down the home loan very aggressively. Although it's a very expensive home, but he was doing so well paying it back. And he was ignoring super altogether because it's too far away. I'm still young. My kids are young. I want to spend money. He wasn't really failing. He was just simply following the common path, things that you usually see or hear about. And the common path doesn't lead to early retirement. Let me tell you this. Early retirement is not an average plan. It's not for average people and it's not for average income. You as a tech professional, you're not an average person. You're not an average income. It really makes me upset or frustrated when I hear a tech professional earning $400,000 saying, I'm seeking average retirement. Average retirement is for those who are receiving average income. You will not be on average retirement. Your lifestyle creep, your car, your house, your expenses, your travel plans, things that you aspire to are not average. If you're overseas spending $15,000 or $20,000 on a trip, you and your family, that is not average. So do not talk about average, please. Yeah. Now, once we realigned everything through the confident choice system, suddenly things shifted. His tax dropped, his assets grew, his RSU finally had a strategy that he understands and willing to implement every year, and also his retirement timeline shrunk by almost a decade. Yes, a decade. That's 10 years retirement early. And not because he earned more money, he was actually on the same salary, but because he made better decisions with the money he had. And that is the power of structure and planning. That is the difference between hoping and knowing. Now, if any of this hit home for you, if you have been thinking about your timeline, your strategy, RSU, or your next tax bill, I'm happy to walk you through your numbers if you ever want a second opinion. Because your early retirement won't happen by accident. It can be absolutely by design. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to my podcast. And as always, please feel free to send me any questions on mo@mywealthchoice.com.au. Have a nice day.